It's crazy. I just like feel so good sitting like this. I don't know what it is. It's really interesting, like standing up right there, I feel like I'm performing, and sitting down right here, I feel like I'm not. This is so dumb.
I wanted to jump in here for a second to talk about therapy. Now, I've been on quite the journey, how I've gone from this transition to being like really obsessed with skateboarding to wanting to make different sorts of content, and that threw me like into this mental health crisis about my career where I was very fearful to kind of embrace change. And this is something that I worked through in therapy, among other things. I've also gone to therapy 2 different times to assist with breakups that I was going through. Therapy's been a great, helpful force in my life, and I really highly recommend it to anyone if you feel like you need a helping hand with something that you're going through. Something that I went through when I started therapy for the first time was I felt like intimidated by the process. The thought of researching, finding a therapist, going in person just was really intimidating, and that in itself held me back from getting the help that I needed. A great way you can make it easier is by trying online therapy, and that's why I want to tell you about the sponsor of this video, which is BetterHelp. So BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy program, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 30,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy so that BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you can talk to your therapist however you feel most comfortable, whether it's text, chat, phone call, or video chat. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions whenever it's most convenient for you. If your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch therapists at no extra charge. I've personally had 3 different therapists, so this is a great feature in my opinion. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality that you would expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who's custom picked for you with more flexibility in scheduling and at a more affordable price. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/George Poulos. That's betterhelp.com/George Poulos. And I've also linked them in the description below. Sending good vibes on your therapeutic journey.
So the first tattoo I ever got was a skateboard on my left ankle. I remember that I never ever thought that I would be someone who ever gets a tattoo. I kind of just assumed like, why would I do that? But then this was like at some point in college, I just started growing up and letting loose a little and sort of just had the urge to get a tattoo. I don't know, something just bubbled up inside of me and I wanted to get my first tattoo. And a skateboard was an obvious choice. I remember I really loved this artist named Henry Jones, and I wanted to get a skateboard in kind of his style of artwork. And I just remember like knowing that skateboarding was such a significant part of my life at the time, and just knowing that I wanted to get that reflected on my body in my first tattoo. And there was also an element of like, I want to be someone who has a tattoo, you know, just to like have the experience. And I remember it was a really pleasant experience. The artist did a great drawing on the first try. It was all pretty seamless. It didn't hurt too bad. It was honestly like a really cool experience. And then I remember feeling really cool like skating, and then you could see my ankle tattoo. Second tattoo I could actually show you while I'm sitting here. This is the Middlefield Skate Park in Connecticut. I got this tattooed when I was about to graduate college because that was a very special skate park for me. I would go there often with friends, but more often alone, and just have these very meditative Zen skate sessions where I would like process what I was going through. And I just remember that was a place where I felt very centered and very peaceful. And as graduation was approaching, I wanted to get something on my body to symbolize that time. And the skate park felt like a perfect example to kind of culminate my college experience and like what I learned by having all those solo skateboarding sessions into one place on my body. And this is actually something that I drew first in my journal. This is the first piece of my own artwork on my body, really. And it's already interesting to think about my journey with tattoos, because it's almost like the desire to get a tattoo kind of bubbles out of nowhere, and all of a sudden it will be really obvious that I want a tattoo. It has never been like very premeditated. At the end of the day, like the desire comes and it bubbles over to the point of action, and then suddenly you're sitting there on the tattoo table again, like getting another tattoo, and in that moment it's like, huh, like here I am again, look at that. Next tattoo, you can kind of see it right here. It's a daisy see. This is my first of several matching tattoos. I got this one with my sister. This one was significant because it's so visually prominent for me. Like I can see it smacked right there. This one actually gave me a little bit of a freak out. I was like, holy shit, like this thing is there. I've altered my body. I like remember this process of like my brain almost rejecting this thing, like because it wasn't familiar. And it took like a process, like it took some time for my brain to like realize that, oh, like this is your arm. This is a part of it, you know? That was an interesting process. And it honestly was a cool process, like accepting that this is a part of me. Next tattoo was the bike. I have this one on my left thigh. This is the only tattoo that I currently don't love that much, just because, and I learned a lesson from this, the line at the bottom, I just don't like how it curves when I bend my leg. Literally when I got this tattoo, like he put the stencil on and I kind of had a feeling that the line wasn't feeling quite right, but I was like too much of a people pleaser to say anything, and I like literally let him tattoo it, just like kind of thinking it would be fine. That's kind of embarrassing, but I learned from that, you know? And it's like when you get your tattoo, like even if the tattoo artist kind of feels like they're rushing you along, like you have to look at the stencil, take your time, always follow your intuition when you get a tattoo. But yeah, so I got the bike because I like barely knew how to ride a bicycle. Well, I knew, but it had been many years. And then the pandemic hit and I started city biking around New York City. And then I ended up taking the skate trip to Copenhagen. You know, Copenhagen is one of the world's best biking cities, and I rented this beautiful bike and biked all around the city, and it was just such a freeing, like euphoric, joyous experience of love. Like what a beautiful way to experience life. After that Copenhagen trip, I got that bicycle tattoo because like something about all that biking just felt very significant to me, and it changed my life because soon after that I like bought my own bike here in New York City, and it's one of the simplest ways that I incorporate like joy into my life now, is just experiencing the city by bicycle. Oh, next we have this tattoo. This one, I was like skating with my friends at Blue Park and I was just feeling amazing. Like I was having a very centered, very aligned day, just feeling really connected to everybody. It was a nice warm like spring or summer day. There was some sort of event going on that included a pop-up tattoo artist, and my friend Nick and I were looking through the book and just kind of decided to get one of these tattoos. Now this is really my first like impulsive tattoo, and I think what's important about impulsive tattoos is like if you're feeling good, if it feels good in your heart, it's safe to trust. I was feeling really good in my heart about this one. It was like, as my first impulsive tattoo, it took that idea of freedom to the next level. It's like no planning at all, just making a, you know, what could be considered to be a significant decision for altering your body. Just kind of making it, just trusting yourself is a beautiful feeling of freedom. To this day, I'm extremely happy with this tattoo. This next one right here, that's the Let Go design that I drew. So this one I got matching with Danny on a trip to Florida. This one was like, I was starting to have a spiritual awakening, and let go was kind of a mantra that I used for so many different scenarios. Like I was learning this philosophy of non-attachment and just like flowing through life and just letting things go that don't serve you. And I was finding this really beautiful way of life, and Danny was finding it as well in parallel. This drawing just came out in my journal one day, and I just, again, like this, it just became suddenly obvious in my core that I should get this tattooed. And it's really interesting. Sometimes what happens to me when I have this natural thing that comes up where I want to get a tattoo, like I will like almost feel this like tingling sensation on a particular part of my body. And that was definitely the case with this Let Go tattoo. Like I just knew that I wanted it to be here. This is also the case because as a mantra, I can see this one very easily. If I'm ever caught up in a situation where I'm clinging on to something too hard, I can look at it as a spiritual reminder for myself. Okay, next tattoo was this one right here. This is a pretty prominent one. You know, like I said, at this point, I'm having like a spiritual, I'm like changing dramatically. My mindset is changing. You know, I'm seeing life in a very different way. This experience I had, it was a camping trip, just blew me away, just like really showed me what life could be, like how much love there can be in our lives. And again, after this experience, it was one of those situations where I just knew I needed a tattoo. And it, you know, it kind of just reflects the scene of what I experienced. I love this one. And at this point in the tattoo journey, I started to realize like the significance of the act of getting tattooed itself. It's like a meditative experience because you're kind of experiencing experiencing a little bit of pain and there's another human being there, and it's usually a private setting, and I don't know, it's almost like a meditative place where time slows down and you're just very present. You're there with the tattoo artist. Getting this tattoo is just such a pleasant experience, and then, you know, that made me reflect back on all the other times I got tattoos, and it's actually like, yeah, those are kind of special moments themselves, the very acts of getting that tattoo. Okay, next, on a similar wavelength to the let go, I started drawing let be in my journal, and I decided to get that tattooed on the other wrist. And now I sort of have this mirroring thing going on, as you could see. This is also matching with Danny. I love this one. Really same, you know, let go, let be. They're very similar in unison. These are really beautiful together. When I got the let be tattoo, I also got this flash tattoo on my arm. It's a little flower. I was about to get this like hammer tattoo, which had a very different vibe to it, and at the last minute I changed my mind. And it was funny because the tattoo artist was like, yeah, I think I agree, and like I don't think that was the right tattoo for you. And I'm glad that I had learned my lesson after the bike tattoo, not to like just let them start tattooing me for the sake of like sparing them a moment of comfort. It's like, no people pleasing, trust yourself. You know, if you need to change the stencil, just do it. Take your time, even if you need to walk out of the store, you know, it's your body. And at this point in the journey, we're getting very recent now, I realize I have a lot of flowers on my body. You know, this is a flower, the let go, let be have flowers. This is a flower, the bike tattoo has flowers. This is kind of a flower. Something really cool about tattoos is like sitting here today, I can look back on all these tattoos I got, and I can almost ask like, why did the universe have me get these tattoos? Like, why did I end up with these tattoos? And like wonder like, like what brought me to do this? And I thought it was very significant that I have all these flowers on my body. Flowers are a very significant symbol, I think, in spirituality, because it's like a perfect metaphor for a human being, that we should just allow ourselves to flower and show our unique beauty, you know, and not try to compete with other flowers or conform to standards. You know, every flower is beautiful in its own way. Then we're on my last two tattoos. So I got this rose right here, and then on my shin I got mushrooms, and these were on the impulsive side too. These are both matching tattoos with my current partner, and we got them on Valentine's Day, and we had only met a few months ago at that point. I think a lot of people are like, oh my god, like what if you guys break up, and what if you regret it, and this and that, and then you're gonna have to remember that person for your whole life. And my perspective on that, kind of as someone who tries to exist here and now, like if the desire to get a matching tattoo with another person arises, that in itself is significant, and it doesn't need to be judged based on what might be in the future. This feels right here and now, therefore it's significant, and that is what it is. I love people like no matter what, like forever, even if paths diverge. So to me, like matching tattoo with a significant other, there can't really be any regret, because if that time was significant enough, special enough, loving enough to get that matching tattoo, that's beautiful, and that's never gonna go away. It's nice to you know, life is about love, and one of the primary ways that we experience love in this life is with other people. So why not have these symbols of this significant love that we experience throughout our lives? And that's it. Those are my tattoos. Probably more to come. I mean, you know, and as I look around my body, it's like I see a lot of flowers, a lot of love, a lot of transitional periods, a lot of, I would say, celebration of love and life. And it's cool, you know? I almost see tattoos as like the soul peeking through the body. Something significant happened in here, and it wants to be shown out here. And yeah, you know, it's like, you gotta remember that this body is a temporary experience. And I think, you know, when I was originally afraid to get tattoos because of like the fear that other people projected onto me about tattoos, it's like people act like they're gonna have their bodies forever. Like, oh my god, you're gonna have that on you forever. But like, no, you're actually not. You know, I kind of see it as like slapping a sticker on your spaceship, and that spaceship is not ours forever. It's a temporary vehicle. So you might as well decorate it. That's kind of my take on tattoos. Thanks again for the question on Instagram. Thanks for spurring this creativity. This was very fun. And link to my podcast where I talk about a lot of spiritual awakening stuff is below. I will leave you with some clips because I skated for the first time in a few months. Okay, bye.
What the fuck was that?
Thinking about the good time. That trumpet is bussin'.